right. And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome here as we get set for the 5th race of the season for the Fuel RaceTrackDesigns IndyCar Series. Getting ready for our second road course stop of the season as we are here today at Road Atlanta. Seth Cole alongside of Sam Dyer. And Sam, second road course of the season for these guys. Definitely a much different configuration to Laguna Seca.
Oh, it definitely is. There's going to be a lot more heavy braking areas here at Road Atlanta, so it's going to be a lot more fun to watch. Up front, we got a new contender that we haven't seen up in the lead and who got pulled this week. It's going to be Kit Bommersmatch. He's going to be up front leading this pack as we're entering turn number 10 in this pace lap.
It'd be the toughest corner for these drivers all race long, and I can attest to that personally. I've driven this track before. Not fun in this left to right hander, heavy braking zone, and could be maybe our turn 6, like you mentioned at Laguna Seca here at this racetrack here today. Going to be 49 laps of racing, and we're going to get to an interesting thing about that as far as fuel concerned, but it's going to be the front row of Kite Bommersbach alongside Riley Thompson, the green flags in the air, and we're racing at Road Atlanta.
Bommersbach gets a beautiful launch compared to everyone else, but up front, it's going to be side by side for second place.
Thompson along with Mitch Welker. Welker, of course, winning the first road course race of the season at Laguna Seca. Missed last week's event at Homestead, Miami, and thus dropped quite a bit in the standings, looking to maybe go back-to-back in road course starts and get back in the fight.
Another person that's trying to get a little bit of redemption is going to be Riley Thompson, who had a chance to win at Laguna Seca, but just got caught up in the corkscrew and lost all his time, lost that race, and wasn't able to win it. But this time, he's got a shot at being up here in the top 3.
Here at the battle for the 4th position, that's Nicholas Johnston comes in the points leader, holding off Daniel Zegers, who comes into this race making his debut. And Nicholas Johnston, yes, he's been very consistent. He's had 2 second-place finishes this year, but he's still yet to get a W. Maybe it can happen here today.
I mean, it's another road course where he has a chance. He almost won it at Laguna Seca as well. So there's a lot of guys up here that have speed. The top 3 of speed at Laguna Seca was Riley Thompson, Mitch Welker, and Nicholas Johnston. So these 3 have a chance to show off some speed, but they've got to catch that one machine that's up front.
Kite Bommersbach putting on a clinic at the moment, holding them all at bay in his rearview mirror. Riley Thompson, though, trying to close it up there through turns 2, 3, and 4. Mitch Welker right in the mix as well as Nicholas Johnston. And another guy coming in with a lot of momentum back there in the 9th position after amazing fuel strategy last week at Homestead, Liam Quinn, who has now cut the points gap between himself and points leader Nicholas Johnston down to 11 points.
Liam Quinn is also another car that had a good run at Laguna Seca, so it's another road course, another chance to show off your skills here at a road course.
Another thing that we should remember, too, about the road courses especially is they work with road course yellows, so it has to be really a violent wreck or a lot of drivers involved to bring a yellow flag out. So if drivers mess up here, it's going to take them a long time to battle back from a mistake.
And you were stating while we were getting ready for this that there was a chance that we could see a full course yellow here. I mean, where is a possible chance that we could see a full course yellow?
In the one place that I saw especially was down there in turn 10. I think we've had an incident. There's a car on pit road, and I saw some skid marks coming out of what looked like turns 11 and 12. I believe that might have been the 77 of Ryan Heater that had an issue early on here. We'll go back and see if we can find out what happened to him in just a moment. But like I said, I've driven this track before. Turn 10 A and B is what they call it. That is a heavy braking zone, and if someone
Liam Quinn just got turned around. He's going to be locked up, and that's a couple of cars. Even Andrew Wood is involved. Tons of collisions up there in the back.
Looks like Quinn's actually going to take his car to pit road. I believe the other car that might have been collected up in that might have been the 7, perhaps, of Victor Valley, who's making his first start on the season. We're going to have 2 things to go back and look at real quick, but I mean, down right here, this corner that they're getting ready to take here in turn 10, I mean, if you overshoot that or miss your braking zone, you're probably going to be into somebody's gearbox.
I was actually watching Liam Quinn for a little bit there. He got off course before he got into that incident, and so he was just off pace and just got involved with the 7 machine, and around he went.
I'm going to go back real quick and see if we can see what happened to Ryan Heater, and then we'll look at the incident there with Liam Quinn. Hopefully these drivers can keep it together while we're doing that and another incident doesn't break out. But while I'm looking back at this replay real quick, we brought up the subject of fuel maybe being an issue for these guys. And Sam, I think you got more on that.
Yeah, so I was looking at the fuel window for these guys. It's going to be 19 to about 22 laps is the window that we're looking at for fuel. So you got drivers that could, if they just slow down a little bit and maybe are running around that 6th or 7th position, they could run a little bit slower and possibly try to push it to a one-stop pit stop, but everyone else is probably going to have to do a two-stopper.
Just noticed as well that actually Ryan Heater never make the green flag. As a matter of fact, the skid marks that I saw must have been drivers warming up their tires on the grid on the front straightaway. So I thought I saw skid marks from a spin. Apparently that was not the case. We're going to look here at the incident with Liam Quinn. And you can see right there, he kind of overdrove turn 1, takes that little bit of an access road there, which is part of another portion of the course, comes back on track, and there's going to be nowhere for Victor Valle to go. He's going to hook the 4-car around, and also nowhere for Andrew Wood to go. And Wood comes into this race second in points. That's a huge hit for him. And Quinn comes into this race, I believe, third in the standing. So that's 2 guys right up there in the podium of the points collected up in an early incident.
And it looks like Quinn is going to be taking his car behind the wall as he's disconnecting. But we're having a battle for the lead, and it looks like Riley Thompson is going to get side by side, trying to make a move, but not able to get side by side and able to get into below our leader going for a pass, but still right there, keeping it close, and he's going to be trying to make another opportunity here in turn 10 probably.
Remember how last week at Homestead, Liam Quinn, after getting that fuel strategy win, a couple of guys that he was trying to run down in the points, and Nicholas Johnson and Andrew Wood had some pretty hard luck there. We've got 2 of our top 3 in the point standings out of this race, so 4th in the points, Bommersbach, he's kind of licking his lips right now saying, hey, if I win this race, I could get myself back into this championship picture.
I mean, he's got a ton of pressure right now with a lot of cars right behind him trying to make a move, as Nicholas Johnson's going to be trying to make a move on Riley Thompson here, going under him and going for second.
Nice move there into turn 1. Thompson had no choice but to give him the lane in order to make it over here into the entrance of turn 2. He's now got Mitch Welker challenging him. He could throw a bit of a blanket over the top 5, all very close to each other with Daniel Zegers there as well.
Yeah, I thought maybe for a little bit the one machine was going to pull away, but just hasn't been able to, as everyone's just been catching him one after another. Now they're all basically in a line ready to pounce at any moment that someone makes a mistake.
That kind of makes me a little bit worried, especially with a couple of these heavy braking zones like turn 6, turn 10, seeing if maybe these guys are going to give each other enough room. I don't think you'd necessarily consider either of those corners a passing zone. I think like what you're seeing right here, Nicholas Johnson making a move of Riley Thompson, they're going to utilize these longer straightaways like turn 8, turn 9, turn 5 down on the earlier section of the course to try and make passes.
Yeah, they're really trying to utilize the slipstream of their draft to try to get past one another on these long stretches. That's probably the best place to make a pass and the cleanest place to make it.
I told you when I drove this track, it seemed like it was a road course that was a tire eater, but you brought up a point that you don't really think that the tires wear that much with these type of cars.
Yeah, I don't know. The new tire compound that iRacing has brought in for the Indy cars, it just hasn't really been eating up the tires as much as the older tire models have. It just seems like it's more of a fuel issue than it is a tire issue this season. So we'll have to wait and see if cars are going to come in for fuel at around lap 19 to 22, or if they have to come in even sooner than that for tires.
Based on the calculations that you were given and everything, we're basically projecting these guys, if they do make one pit stop, they're going to have to save maybe about 2 to 2.5 laps of fuel on both runs.
Yeah, and this track is massive compared to any of the other tracks, so it's going to be difficult to save just a lap on itself. So I doubt that we're going to see a lot of cars try to push it that far. I think the one car I think we would have seen do that was probably Liam Quinn, because he's just been going for every fuel strategy you could possibly go for all season long. But I wonder if anyone else is going to try to push it. But at this point, with how fast these cars are running, I don't think anyone is trying to save fuel.
There's a good battle going up there, about 4 drivers for the second position. You got this other battle back here, 4 drivers involved, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. That's Danny Roberts leading this line. Justin Morton, Byron Daly, and Rodrigo Munoz all in this mix.
Yeah, actually, it's been Brian Daly and Danny Roberts that have been just battling back and forth. But you got Martin, who's joined into this, and Munoz just lagging behind, seeing what's going to happen with these front cars.
A car that looked like it was coming off of
Whoa!
pit road. Oh, my goodness.
We got Roberts getting connected with Martin, and that is not good to see, as they are going to be running off the course.
Morton's going to get the car refired, but that's going to drop him back all the way to the 9th position, at least for the moment. That's a long ways back before you get to some stragglers like Cohen Evans in 10th, Robert Hall back in 11th. So
Oh,
while
looking
he
up front, Nicholas Johnson's going to be running off course. He is going to lose second position. And he's going to drop all the way back.
Like he was trying to make a pass over there in turn 10. He's been trying that a couple of times, and that time it just did not work out for him. Drops him back to the 5th position and effectively for the moment takes him out of the running for second place, which actually has kind of gone firmly into control of Riley Thompson now. Best battle up front for third, Mitch Welker and Daniel Ziggers.
It's good to see Ziggers having a good run, being here in the top 5 on his first showing here in the IndyCar Series.
A look and see about lap times here between the race leaders. You can see visibly Riley Thompson closing up on the one machine. The last time by, Riley Thompson was 0.3 of a second quicker, and I think that if he can get to the back bumper of Bommersbach, I don't think Bommersbach's going to have much of a choice but to let him go.
A car that just had an issue and is now disconnected is going to be...
we got a car
Curtis
spinning.
Hansen.
That's Welker. Welker spun in 10.
A lot of cars are having an issue in turn 10. It just seems like as another car is going to be going around Welker. Yancey's just pulled his car behind the wall. Heaters has as well. Will Roberts just lost it as well, and he's lost his bumper.
Roberts, that's over in turn 7, the exit of turn 7. As he had clearly made some contact with one of those walls. Like we said, you know, road course yellows. There's no caution that has come out here, so these drivers that are all having these issues, they're going to have to rely on good lap times and maybe some pit strategy to gain all the track position back that they lost.
It's just this track has already eaten up so many cars. As now we've already lost about 5 machines to this track. We'll see how many more machines are able to last as we're only about 10 laps in.
Back and see if we can find out what happened to Welker and Roberts. Welker's incident was over in turn 10. I don't know if it was that he got some help from behind or if he just missed his braking zone. It's a very tough area to break in, and oh yeah, the car started coming around on him. He overcorrects it and spins it into the sand trap. Luckily for him, he was able to get the car refired, because sometimes you get deep enough in that sand trap and there's just no way to get out of it.
Well, Robert's now getting out of the pits after repairing his machine.
Yeah, we're going to see what happens to him right here out of 7. Looks like he just lost some rear end grip and noses it down into the wall there. But as you said, he's returned back to the track. He's currently scored 1 lap down.
Well, with all these cars having issues, it's now set them up to actually become lap cars. And the leaders now battling side by side, but there's a lap car in front of them. Could cause a little bit of an issue if not able to get out of the way.
Yep, that's, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is that the 59 of Evan Adams, I think, that's in front of them?
Riley Thompson's finally completed the pass on the leader and now is taking the front seat.
Let's take a little look here about what a lap around Road Atlanta looks like, courtesy of the onboard with Riley Thompson. Here he is going into turn 1. 3 and 4, known as the S's, a little bit of an elevation change here, an uphill to a downhill. And then another part of the track that I kind of thought would be a trouble zone is up here, this left-hander turn 5, because they have this little bit of a runoff here with the rumble strip, but if you take it just wrong, it actually can send all 4 tires off the ground. Here's the heavy braking zone, right-hander turn 6. Then into turn 7, here's where we saw Will Roberts have his issue. And then the fastest part of the track here, this little bit of a left-hand bend, is turn 8. Down here into a right-hand bend, turn 9. And then the toughest part of the course coming down to turn 10, 10 and 10A, 10A and 10B rather. Heavy braking zone, there's a sand trap there, and after the sand trap is a tire barrier. Nicely there, and is going to bring it down into 11 and 12, and that is a lap around Road Atlanta, courtesy of the 56 of Riley Thompson.
And as we were on board with Riley Thompson, the 8 machine was trying to battle it out with the 1, just not able to complete that pass, and now it's just falling back into 3rd place.
Update as far as Mitch Welker, who we saw spin out, got the car refired, still running in the 6th position, but At this point in time, it's looking like Riley Thompson is starting to set sail. Someone else just spun back there. I think that was the 8. The 8 of Daniel Zegers spun, and I think that was out of turn 3. No, I'm sorry. That was actually out of, was that 5, turn 5.
And he got so close. I believe he hit the wall, but it was... he was having such a good run up front, and now he's going to drop a couple positions here.
Thompson back now currently to the 7th position. And let's not forget the last time we were at a road course, Laguna Seca, he was leading that race, was in a battle at the time with Nicholas Johnston for the race lead, and the both of them went into that trouble turn 6, made contact, and eventually that spin out for both of them cost them the W.
Yeah, it was a trouble spot for both of them. Both of them got extreme damage. Riley Thompson was not able to finish that race, while Nicholas Johnston was able to limp his car to about top 3 finish. So hopefully Thomas is seeing that he can get redemption here as he is climbing up the hill through the S's.
Thompson has started all 4 races this season. Started on the pole for 2 of them, but only 1 top 5, 1 top 10 to show for it. So it has been quite a struggle for him at the beginning of the season. He comes into this race currently 7th in the point standings, 33 points back, but definitely being early on in the season, there's definitely a chance for him to be able to make up that dividend, especially with the fact that, as we documented, quite a number of the top 5 in the points have had some early struggles here today.
Another car that just had another spin is going to be Will Roberts. He just spun his car around. A car has disconnected. It's going to be Robert Hall. So this track, the rumble strips or something about it, it's just eating up these machines, and we'll see how many cars can survive as we're on lap number 15. So we're coming close to the fuel window for cars to start pitting.
I'm wondering if maybe grip is a concern for these drivers that's causing some of these issues, as we're looking right here at the track temperature. It's 77 degrees out, track temp 97 degrees, so it would be a little bit slick, I would think, for these drivers here. And maybe that's why we're seeing so many spins.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty hot on track for these tires, but I mean, it's not as hot as we've seen at other tracks. But I mean, getting onto the brakes as hard as they are, to trying to get back onto the gas. Now, you can be spinning these cars out very easily, getting off of these corners. So that could be these drivers getting on the gas just a little bit too hard, a little bit too soon.
You can also see here with these camera angles, if you look right here, you can clearly see that there's no margin for error because there's very little runoff area on these straightaways, and those are concrete jersey barriers on either the left or right side. So when the car makes contact with a wall, it is going to crunch it up.
Yeah, that's why we've been seeing a lot of cars losing their wings whenever they hit the wall. Yes, it's a hard hit, but also these walls just eat up wings and will take them off.
Where we saw Nicholas Johnston have a little bit of an issue early on, but he is still running in the 3rd position, only 1.2 seconds as well behind Riley Thompson, and starting to close in on Kite Bomber Spock for that 2nd spot. Welker has managed to work back up to 4th, just made a pass for that position on Byron Daly, who's having another solid outing. Byron Daly actually was very impressive last week at Homestead as well.
Yeah, he started 10th today, and now he's up to 5th. He was up to 4th, and there goes the 7 machine again into the wall right in front of these machines that we were just talking about. I mean, Daly's been having a solid day, up to 5th. I mean, that's 5 position gain, which is one of the more of the race. But another car that's having a pretty good day that's been moved up just as much as Daly has is going to be it's going to be Evans of the 17 machine.
When Evans right now running in the 10th position. Cohen comes into this race 6th in the standings, so running very consistently again. And how about Rodrigo Munoz there in the 0-9 right now in 7th place? He actually was up in the top 10 finishing results back at Laguna Seca as well, finishing 8th in that event. I think he ran in the top 5 a little bit at Laguna Seca as well, so very solid outing today for him as well.
It really is. It's good to see most of these drivers so far just calming down, figuring out the rhythm of the track, as we're going to be seeing the leaders think about pitting soon as we're on lap 17, 2 laps from the start of the pitting window. And, you know, we've seen some of these machines short pit sometimes, just trying to get a better position. And honestly, I don't see a lot of these cars trying to short pit. I mean, you're going to have to pit twice, so you could short pit on the first one and try to push the car as far as you can on your second stop, or you can push it as far as you can on your first stop and then short pit on your second.
We saw Riley Thompson take the race lead away from Bommersbach, but has not been able to really gap himself from the one. Kit's been doing a pretty good job of keeping him within about 7 to 8 tenths. So I don't know if it's that Riley's just kind of taking it easy or if he's just only a tick quicker than Kit is.
I think he's only a tick quicker. As like a machine that's in third. I mean, Nicholas Johnson, he came off the track, lost a ton of time, and now is slowly chipping his way back up to gaining on these guys. I think these three machines are going to be staying this close for pretty much all race long.
Right now, he is the fastest car on the track, is Nicholas Johnston. Riley Thompson ran a 105.7. Bommersbach ran a 105.6. Johnston ran a 105.2. So he is definitely making a charge up here, and he's within striking distance now, less than 2 seconds between him and the race leader.
As you look back to fourth, that's probably our closest battle so far of Mitch Welker and Byron Daly, as Welker is trying to snake down the straightaway to break the draft and not to give Daly a slipstream to try to make a pass coming into 10A.
Wow, Daly took a little peek there, but when he got on the brakes, looks like the right front may have locked up a little, jerked his car back to the right behind the 76. I'm not sure if he really wants to make a pass there based off of what happened earlier to Nicholas Johnston, but yeah, right, good battle right now between these two guys. And I was actually looking at drivers up here towards the front like Thompson, Bommersbach, Welker. I mean, these guys, based off of some of these others that have struggled, that were up there in the points, really could capitalize today. The only guy that's foiling their plans, though, the points leader. He's right now up into the second position, as I think Riley Thompson had an issue.
Yeah, Riley Thompson has spun it around, and now he's trying to get it back straight as he lost it around, and Kit's now going to be getting the lead back, and Johnston's right on his tail.
That was from the lead, I believe, that Thompson spun, and I think turn 5 may have gotten another victim.
Yeah, it is. As he goes through the S's, gets up top, that's when he loses it.
If he maybe hits that rumble strip really can unsettle the car. You saw right there, you can see the car got just a little bit of air lifted off the ground, just a tiny bit. That rumble strip is a killer at this racetrack, and it got our race leader at the time.
As Riley Thompson has now lost all the way back to 5th position. As now you got two very solid battles, battle for first and the battle for third.
Bommersbach with a rear window full of Nicholas Johnston. That battle still between Welker and Daly going on. And there's actually a little bit of a battle that's starting to maybe heat up here. I was looking at lap times, and at least right now, Justin Morton, who we saw go off track, I think it was back over in turn 6, he's now starting to reel in Rodrigo Munoz. That's a battle for 6th place.
Car that I believe just had an accident. It's going to be the 8 machine, same corner that we just saw Riley Thompson lose it up at turn 5, hit the rumble strips again, and went around. Same spot, same issue, and another car taken away.
I believe it's the second time that Daniel Zegers has had problems with turn 5 here today, and that could maybe be the one that effectively takes him out of this race. Had a good run going early on. Oh, wow, that car never even turned off of 5 after it hit the rumble strip, got in the air, and almost got a little contact there. I think that was with the 7 of Victor Valle.
As for all these front runners now that have not pitted to fix up damage, Munoz looks like he's going to be one of our first cars to come in for the pits, and so does Justin Morton.
This is right around that fuel window you were talking about, right around 22 laps, the furthest that they can go. So we're probably going to see some other guys on pit road momentarily. There's the 15 of Justin Morton on pit lane, and we'll wait and see what our 2 race leaders do.
I mean, Johnston is running at least 2 tenths or faster than Kit right now, and he is going to be making a move on the bottom going into turn 10A.
He has to be one of the bravest guys I've seen in this race, because that's about the 3rd time I've seen him try and make a pass down into 10A and B.
And they're both going to go to the pits.
Look at this. Nose to tail coming to pit lane.
I think at the same time, they're both thinking about maybe juking out the other car, but they both decided to come in as we go back to 3rd to see who's going to be coming in there. Mitch Welker's going to be coming in. So does Daly. And so does Riley Thomas in 5th.
Entire top 5 from that last lap are on pit road this time. Long ways back here over in turns 8 and 9 is where you've got Hugo Gala as the 6th place car. We got to wait a while to see what his strategy is he going to stay out an extra lap? Is he going to come to pit road this time? That's Danny Roberts back behind him as well in the 41 running in 7th place. Haven't really talked much about him today, but a solid outing.
The battle for pit road might have cost Johnston, as he was trying to pass up on our leader in the pits, and he was not able to, losing time as he was going side by side and on the exit of the corner, got into the grass and lost a ton of time on our leader.
And did stay on pit road as well for, at the time, 3rd place running Mitch Welker. He has not left his pit stall yet, so I don't know what is going on with the 76, but he has dropped all the way back to 9th, and he's going to come off of pit road definitely way back from where he was when he started the pit stop.
Just looking through the field, seeing where people are running at the moment. As Kit still in the lead, Johnson's still in 2nd, but Daly, he's going to be getting 3rd.
To show just how much a lot of these drivers had gapped the rest of the field, Hugo Galaz actually did stay out. He didn't pit that last time around, but he's running in 4th place. Guys that were ahead of him coming to pit road left ahead of him on pit road, and he didn't even get the race lead. He's now on pit lane in the 55 machine, so it just shows how much the field spread out during the course of those first 20 laps.
As you got Danny Roberts staying out there and battling it out with Thompson, and I believe Roberts came in to get some damage fixed up. So I don't think
you're correct.
I don't know when the last time he pit though.
Lap 9 was the time that he came to pit road, so he would be able to make it and stay out for another 7 or 8 laps here. About maybe lap 30-31 is when he would have to come to pit road to make what would probably be his final stop of the day.
So as long as he keeps it clean, he'll be having a very strong run, as he is staying in front of Riley Thompson.
The few times that maybe at a road course an incident early on is actually going to work out for somebody, because if he keeps running where he's at with the gap he's got, he could probably finish this race in the 5th position.
Definitely could, especially since Gallows had to come in and get some pit stops done.
Best battle on track right now still for that 4th position. Roberts is currently on 13-lap older tires than Riley Thompson, but so far has been able to keep the 56 at bay. And to your point of just how quickly this track has really depleted this field, we've only currently got about 11 drivers that are still on track, 10 of them on the lead lap. Daniel Ziggers has taken his car behind the wall, Mike Hurley as well. Will Roberts is currently sitting on pit road. Evan Adams is sitting on pit road. I mean, out of the 20 cars that took the green flag to start this race, there's only 11 of them still running, and we've still got, as you can see, more than halfway of this race to go.
Yeah, Andrew Wood is another car that came in and he took it behind the wall. So tons of machines not able to finish this race, as the track has just been eating them up. But up front, it's been the one machine. He started on the pole and he is still in the lead.
So far, we have had 4 races and 4 different race winners. We had Wood winning back at Motegi. We had Welker at Laguna Seca. Matt Hollabaugh at Michigan. And then last week, of course,
lost it.
Oh, boy.
Kit's going to save it, but he's going to lose a ton of time to Johnston. And Johnston's now right on his tail, coming up to turn number 5.
Johnston trying to replace that goose egg in the win column. You can bet he's probably going to be aggressive here. I think he may be looking for turn 10. That's been his bread and butter of a passing zone all day long.
Oh, Kit lost some more, and Johnston now going to easily get that lead back. I don't know what's going on with Kit, but his tires must not be happy, or he's just out of rhythm. Something is not right, because that is 2 major mistakes that we've seen on this lap.
Absolutely. I mean, he had a pretty good gap between himself, about maybe a second and a half between himself and Nicholas Johnston, and just like that, he's back to the 2nd position. And don't look now, but not too far behind these top 2. You got Byron Daly looming there. He is 2.5 seconds back, but if we see a couple more slip-ups like we saw right there on that last lap by the 1, we could have a battle for 2nd pretty soon.
Yeah, both these slip-ups that we saw these leaders have. I mean, Johnson had it in the pit road and Kit now on track. It's given Daly a chance while there's a battle going on and back. There was a battle going on for 4th, as Riley Thompson going to secure the pass on Danny Roberts.
I already know, that the car's not handling the way that Kit Bommersbach wants it to be handling, and so how much more difficult is it for a driver mentally to now basically be trying to run down somebody for the race lead and at the same time hope and pray your car does stay under you?
I think the hardest thing is that Johnson's been running consistently faster than Kit this whole entire race, so it's going to be hard for him to really focus up. And I think mainly it's just, okay, let's take a breather, hope that Johnson makes a mistake some point during this race, and I keep on running cleanly, and hopefully those mistakes are big enough for me to catch up to him.
It will not be 2 road course wins in a row for Mitch Welker. He has taken his car behind the wall. We'll finish this race, it looks like, in maybe the 11th position, possibly in 12th. It looks like Will Roberts is out there trying to log some laps to maybe finish up around the 11th position. But boy, that's a lot of our former winners that are out of this race already, including Wood, Quinn, and Welker.
Mitch Welker is on lap 25, turn 5. Once again, same curb, same destruction.
It's kind of interesting. I thought that turn 10 was going to be really the trouble zone today, but no, it has been turn 5 for sure. That has cost a lot of drivers an opportunity to even finish this race, and it's really pegged drivers all the way through the field, rear of the field, all the way up to the front, including at the time, as we showed you, Riley Thompson being our race leader at that moment. So it has not really allowed anybody to get away with anything.
No, it really hasn't. I mean, we've only have 10 cars that are still running out there. So it's been super difficult for these machines to just continue going, as the only car that is a lap down is the 7 machine, who's gone into a couple of accidents, but somehow his car is still running.
You saw when we showed you the replay there of what happened to Mitch Welker. We talked about what a car has happened to it when it hits the concrete barriers. It's even worse, really, when you hit the tire wall, because that just rips the car apart. And these cars, with the way that they're built, you get that car ripped apart, there's no way you're getting back out there.
Yeah, you ruin the suspension, and you just cannot just drive straight. You can't hit these corners right, and there's no way that you can even just coast your car through this course.
Let's do a little bit of a through the field here as we have passed the halfway point of this race. Nicholas Johnston, right now the race leader, comes in the points leader, but is still looking for a trip to victory lane after 2 runner-up finishes this season. Kite Bommersbach, I mean, he got it done on pit road after Johnson's slip-up. Maybe he can utilize the next pit stop that will be coming up here, nearing probably about 5 laps to go. Maybe he can utilize that to get the race lead back. Byron Daly, very consistent run again here today, kept his car out of trouble. He's running in 3rd. Riley Thompson, though, I'm looking at the lap times. He is just about the fastest car on track right now in that 4th position. And Danny Roberts, who still, oh, there he is. I was just going to say, still needs to make that pit stop, but there it is. This is his final pit stop of the day, I think, right when the fuel window opened with 21 to go.
Yeah, it's going to be right on the bubble marker, but he's going to have enough fuel to make it to the end here. He doesn't have to worry about saving. He can go as hard as he needs.
It's going to move Justin Morton up to the 5th position. He was previously running in 6th. Rodrigo Munoz right now is in the 6th position. Danny Roberts is now fallen back to 7th. He's going to, I think, keep that spot as Hugo Galez, who's in a battle right now with, I think, was that Will Roberts in the 39 that just passed him, I think it was? No. The car that just passed him. Oh, that was Cohen Evans. Evans just actually made a pass there for 8th place. So move the 17 up to 8th. Galez falls back to 9th. And right now, Victor Valle running 1 lap down, but right now in line for a top 10 finish. Will Roberts, as we saw, was back on track. Right now in 12th place. He's got to complete 6 more laps, and he will pass Mitch Welker. And looks like he will finish this race in 11th place. So just out there trying to get every point he can.
No,
and he's going to mess
Roberts.
up turn 5.
It's been his Achilles heel, and there it is again. Luckily, he did not hit anything, so he still can keep running. But luckily, he didn't hit anything, because now he can keep running laps and try not to get eaten up by that corner again.
We're back. Got a battle brewing for 2nd place. This is going on about 2.5 seconds behind race leader Nicholas Johnston as Byron Daly has closed up on Bommersbach.
I mean, this is a great run for Daly. He started 10th, now having the chance to battle for 2nd. He's running some extremely quick times compared to Kit. on Bommersbach, he's running about 5/10 faster, maybe 4/10 faster. So it's good to see the pace that this 06 is running.
Let's not forget that if Liam Quinn hadn't pulled off that amazing fuel strategy last week at Homestead, we would have been saying last week's winner, Byron Daly, because Byron Daly finished second last week. He was the highest finishing of the drivers that had all come to pit road. It was just Liam Quinn that foiled everybody's plans.
Yeah, I mean, Liam Quinn, that was one of the gutsiest fuel strategies that we saw all season long, really. I mean, he's been trying to do almost every fuel strategy at every speedway. So, Daly almost got the win there. He was extremely quick, but he was just about 15 laps short from catching up to that Ford machine last week.
All right, so the fuel window is open. If these drivers were to come to pit road, they would make it the rest of the way. What do you think? Is there anything to be gained by, let's say, maybe the 1 or the 06 to short pit and maybe get fresher tires sooner than the 28? Or do you think they're all basically trying to go as far as they can before making that necessary second and final pit stop?
I mean, short pitting on the first pit stop probably was your best shot. With a lot of these machines, a lot of the drivers like it when there is lighter and doesn't have much fuel in it. So my guess is they're going to try to push this car as far as they can go, make it as light as it is at the end of the stretch so they can run their quickest laps.
The only thing I'd be a little bit worried about is we've seen a lot of drivers spinning, whether it be off of 5, off of 7. I don't know how light you want that car to be going through some of these corners.
I mean, that's true, but I mean, like, we've been seeing some of these leaders right now. None of them have really been making mistakes on track except for the one machine. He's been getting that one lap where he lost all the time to Nicholas Johnston, but since then, everyone's been running pretty clean up front.
Right now, the closest battles on track are for the 2nd position and the 8th position. We'll drop back to 8th here. As you can see, a bit of a gap there, about a 2nd and 7/10 from 8th place Cohen Evans back to Hugo Galez. It's a little bit closer up towards the front, about 1.2 second separation from Bommersbach back to Daly. But for the most part, everybody pretty spread out, pretty much riding comfortably in their positions, just kind of waiting it out until that final pit stop.
As you know, some of these drivers that are Roberts doesn't have to pit it again. He's good to the end, so I think he's the one driver that's going to be trying to push his car to run these faster laps. But just compared to the leader, you know, he's running some decent laps compared to the leader.
He's about to catch up to the lap machine of Victor Valle, but he's about 22 seconds back from reeling in his next position on track. That'd be 6th place Rodrigo Munoz. So we'll see what happens here, because based off of where he was after everything cycled out, after his pit stop and everybody else's, he was battling with Riley Thompson for 4th place. So we'll see, based off of how consistent his lap times are here on this run, where he would cycle out when everybody else ahead of him comes to pit road.
Simply just looking through the track. I mean, this track is very difficult with all those different braking zones. You got to try to stay consistent. You know, is there any point during the racing at Atlanta that you start to feel any fatigue, or do you think this just race isn't long enough to start to feel fatigue?
Oh, I don't know if it necessarily would be a track where you'd feel fatigue, to be honest, because I think that most tracks that I would think of for road courses that you might feel fatigue are those that don't have as difficult of braking zones or difficult of corners. But I think this is a track you cannot feel fatigue at. You cannot sleep on with some of these corners. I mean, we've seen how turn 5 has affected just about everyone all the way through the field. That heavy braking zone over there in turn 10 is so unforgiving. So I think, you know, if you allow yourself to give in to fatigue, you're going to make a mistake and it's going to cost you a good finish. You have to basically battle whatever your body is feeling, or else you're going to pay the price for it.
Car that's battling right now, Will Roberts. He's 11 laps down, but still, he's gotten a couple of positions by coming back out on the track, and he was up in 14th, now up to 12th. And if he stays like this, he could get 11.
He crosses the line. If he stays out another 3 laps, he will have passed Mitch Welker for 11th place. And Will Roberts comes into this race currently scored in the 10th position in points. So every position is a point. You see, he's very respectful here for the lead lap machines. He did this before as well, getting out of the way of the leaders over in turn 1. Pulls off the track, He's not trying to hinder anybody. He's just out there trying to gain as many points as he can before the conclusion of this race.
Pretty sure that last spin he had at turn 5 kind of maybe shook his nerves and him not being super aggressive now and just trying to clock as many laps as he can.
I'm looking at the lap times right now, and all of a sudden we may have a battle for the lead back on our hands, because when I looked last time it was 2.5 seconds. It's now 1.8 seconds from Johnston back to Bommersbach. I don't know what the one car found. I don't know if maybe he's better on the long run than Johnston is, but that gap is starting to close up and close up quickly.
As the cars are coming around, crossing the line, we're going to check to see what lap times they're running.
That time, Johnston was actually faster by 0.4 over Bommersbach. Byron Daly was 0.2 quicker than the one car.
Yeah, it might have been just that section that they were in that he was gaining on. So it might have been that through the third sector, he was just running a little bit faster than our leader. But the 06, he's trying to gain time. He's almost the second on our second place driver of kit, and he's been at this spot almost all race, not been able to really gain any time, but just staying within a second.
Byron Daly, of course, last week made his debut in the series, had that second place finish at Homestead and running very well here. So I think that based off of what we're seeing with his skills, an IndyCar schedule definitely fits into his wheelhouse, good at the speedways as well as the road courses.
Oh, definitely.
Closing in potentially on that final pit stop of the day, projected would probably be somewhere within the vicinity of 7 laps from now. And of course, as mentioned, Danny Roberts is the only driver in the field right now that can make it on fuel. Question is, how far up in the field will he have battled when everybody else comes to the pit lane?
Compared to the leader, Danny Roberts is running about almost 0.8 slower. So there could be, a rhythm offset. He was running a low 6, while the leaders are running about a mid 5. I mean, there's a little bit of speed difference, so he could be going for top 5 here if the fuel cycle runs his way.
I know that there are 5 seconds separation from first back to, well, actually about 6 seconds from first back to fourth, but that last time by, fastest lap, Riley Thompson. Everybody was running the 105s, 104.9 for the 56 car. So he is starting to close up the gap. You can actually see he's on the same straightaway as the leaders. When they're going into 1, he's coming out at 12. Depending on what happens on this last pit stop, we may not have said Riley Thompson's name for the last time.
Also, some cars that the leaders are catching up to, it's going to be Hugo Gallas and it's going to be also Connor Evans. Both these machines running well, but the leaders are trying to lap them, but we'll see if the leaders lap them or if the leaders have to pit.
The question of when do you come to pit road? When do you decide to pit? And right now, I'm looking at that 56 back there. He's creeping into the same camera shots as the top 3 who actually have started to close the gap up amongst themselves. So depending on what happens here, as you mentioned, they're catching the 55 of Gallows, the 7 of Evans. I mean, are they going to be courteous, move out of the way, and just basically go back about their battle for 8th place, not interfere with the battle for this race win, or will they hold these guys up?
Daly is right there for second. He finally found some speed somewhere on the track and is right there on the number 1 machine.
He's going to try and make a pass here into turn 1. Couldn't quite get to the right rear quarter panel. Let's see if he tries something up the hill here through the S's.
And Riley Thompson is loving this action. If these guys are battling out, it's given him time to catch up.
Also loving is Nicholas Johnston, because it allows him to maybe start to pull away and gap these guys a little bit again. Down through 5 into 6. Let's see if maybe Daly tries to set something up out of 7 onto the straightaways of 8 and 9. Out of line on the straightaway between turn 12 and 1 on the front stretch. Let's see if he tries something here. Look at Johnston using the draft of the 55 of Gallas down there in turn 9.
As Daly gonna be fully able to make the pass, but Gallas in his way. Galla being right in the way of Daly, not being able to make the pass.
Might have been a little contact there between Bommersbach and Daly as well, as it looks like we got a car on pit road. That's Johnston from, oh, no, I'm sorry, that's not Johnston from the lead. That was actually Hugo Gallas getting out of the way and coming to pit road for his final stop of the day. It's Victor Valle. He's looped it around out of turn 1. Out of everybody's way, brings it back on track.
Good thing he was out of everyone's way, keeping it clean for everyone else. As cars are starting to come in, Munoz also is a car that's coming into the pits this time by. So we're going to be seeing different cars coming in right now. You know, some machines going to come just try to get 10 laps. Short pit just slightly compared to the leaders. Maybe short pit whoever they're trying to chase. As right now the leaders are battling it out.
Right now, I think you've only realistically got 4 drivers in the hunt for this win. Johnston, Bommersbach, Daly, and Thompson. Everybody else has got like their own little battles, and I think it's basically like a one-on-one right now between maybe Morton and Munoz, and then you got Evans and Gallas in their own little battle. They're just trying to basically out-strategize each other. And Evans in the 17 is in from the 8th position. Saw Hugo Gallas pit the lap before, so I think those two are in their own little battle for what might be their 7th or 8th position.
Munoz and Roberts right on top of one another, coming up through 5.
Munoz still, I believe, or no, I'm sorry. Munoz actually has made his pit stop, so that is a position, at least for the moment, Danny Roberts will not pick up, as he's currently in 7th, so now on pit road as well in the 15 machine. He is. That's from 5th place. So now we're waiting on our top 4.
We'll have to see if Munoz and Roberts are able to gain any time on this 15 machine as he's in the pits.
It's going to be 8 to go this time around. A lot of drivers from about 5th place on back have hit pit lane, but what about Johnston, Bommersbach, Daly, Thompson? Do they all come together? Do they all come on different laps? Who out-strategizes who? Johnston stays out. So does Bommersbach. So does Daly. Stays out. They're going to go another lap.
I mean, these guys could push it all the way until like lap 43 to 44. So we could see them push it that far out to the last minute to have their car the lightest that it can be. So we'll see how far can they go.
Couple of spins off of turn 5, but still going to be a pretty good points day for Will Roberts. He has successfully passed Mitch Welker for the 11th position. With the number of laps to go, though, he is not going to be able to gain any further than that, so that's where he will officially finish this race. But I mean, still, after having the entire front nose ripped off when he spun off of turn 7, still a very good performance here today for him.
And the battle for 6 is still going on as Roberts finally being able to complete that pass. And guess what? Who's right behind him? It's the leaders. Nicholas Johnston's right on their tail.
It is. That was battle for 6th place in the leaders.
So are the rest.
Everybody, all the top 3, and Thompson's in. The top 4 all come to pit road on the same lap. So as we call it, the money stop, it's on. Who's going to get the best pit stop? Who's going to gain better track position?
You got to make sure
who's going to maybe suffer a penalty. Everybody.
Daly's clean. Gets clean. Everyone gets in clean. They're doing their splash and dash.
Notice no tires there on that pit stop for any of them. Just gas and go. Johnston is gone. Bommersbach's going to come out in 2nd. Daly in 3rd, but the biggest gainer on all of that was Riley Thompson.
Thompson is right there. He gained so much time on that pit stop.
Into the interval right now, he is about a little over 3 seconds back. He's going to have to pass 2 more drivers before he can even think about getting up to Nicholas Johnston. Is 7 laps enough time, do you think?
I don't think it's enough time. I mean, he's close, but with how much speed that these drivers have been so close, I mean, it's only tenths that they're different off of. And Thompson, he needs a couple more laps if he's going to be able to catch up to Johnston.
If he got up there to Johnston, though, relive the history between those two. Last time they were battling for the lead at a road course, it was Laguna Seca. Didn't end so well over in turn 6 for either driver. But right now, the battle is going to be for that 3rd position between Byron Daly and Riley Thompson, who still is putting down the fastest laps currently. But it's 6 laps to go. Time is running out. Johnston, the points leader, looking to continue to grow that points gap heading into next week.
I mean, with how hard these cars are driving, you got to wonder, are they going to get a little too antsy around turn 5? Is Daly's going to be trying to make a move on the one machine and the S's coming up the hill, not be able to make the pass?
I think Bommersbach might have made a little bit of a mistake there into one, lost a lot of momentum, and that's brought Daly and Thompson right into his vicinity. It's a 3-way battle for the second spot.
Daly coming up the long stretch, going to be seen if he's able to make a move here in the slipstream, or if he's just going to stay behind in third so far.
Nicholas Johnston came into this race 8 points ahead of Andrew Wood. Wood finished out of this race in the 19th position, so even if Johnston can't close out the deal,
Daly tapped him!
Points day.
Daly tapped the one machine. Now he's going to be losing third, and he's going to be dropping down to fourth as this gives Thompson an easy pass, and now he's got his sights set on the one machine.
Remember, we said he was about 3.1 seconds back. It's now been cut down to 2.5 seconds between himself and the race leader. I don't know. Based off the lap times, if he gets around the one car quickly enough, he may have something for Nicholas Johnston on the final lap.
I mean, if he keeps on running about 5/10 faster, yeah, he's going to be there, but he's got to get past the one machine, who has been very difficult to get past unless he makes a mistake.
Try and make the move here, going down from 5 into turn 6.
Oh, they're all so close!
Daly crossed him under as he tried to cross over Bommersbach. They're all going to make it out of turn 7, but somehow, I don't know how they did.
I mean, it looked like Daly was trying to make a move, but then saw there just wasn't enough space for it. But they were all so close. As we're seeing, there goes Thompson. He's going to be making the pass, and it's going to be clean. Daly's going to be trying to make a move as well.
Got a little bit of a draft there on that straightaway with help from Daly. Daly's going to try and move into third, passing the one of Bommersbach as, ooh, boy, those two continue to close quarter race. Daly cannot make the pass on the one machine, and now it's all down to lap times. Does Riley Thompson have the lap times it takes to reel in Johnston with 4 laps to go?
I mean, just because he was battling, he lost time, but now they're both in clean air pretty much. Now, who has the best rhythm and who has the fastest machine as they are counting down these laps, and Thompson might make it to his Johnston's bumper if he can run as fast as he was earlier.
If he's able to cut down what was a little under 3 seconds after he made the pass on Bommersbach for second place. We know he's got awfully good straightaway speed with him being able to make the pass as he did heading down into turn 10 for second place, and he's actually now gapping third and fourth, so he is definitely pulling away from that battle. And as you can see up on the top of your screen, he's now cut down the race lead to almost 2.5 seconds.
She's just screaming fast right now, and with how fast he's running on the straightaways, it's actually pulling the one car and the 06 down the straightaway, allowing them to keep up.
Last time by, he was a half second faster. If that keeps up, he would need about 5 more laps to get to the back bumper. He's only got 3, so he's got to pick it up even more.
Gotta be hoping that Johnston makes a mistake on one of these corners, but Johnston's been looking clean all race long. The only mistake that we've really seen him make was on pit road the first time around, but ever since then, he's been clean and he's been up front pretty much all race long.
You can see right there coming out of turn 5 just how on it Riley Thompson is. That car was wiggling as he was trying to get those rear tires to have some grip coming off that runoff rumble strip.
Had a little bit of an issue, which gives Daly a chance to make a move onto third.
Yeah, battle down the straightaway here into turn 8. Daly's been trying to make a pass here on Kite Bommersbach. Before it was for second, this time it's for third. Finally clears for the position.
But the one machine's not giving up. Oh, he's going to back off this time, but he was thinking about throwing it in there in 10A.
He has fought all day, has Bommersbach. Started on the pole, ran up front for a bit, actually took the lead on 2 different occasions. It's been a very good day for him, regardless of if he doesn't win this race. A great performance out of that team. But right now, we're looking at that interval still between Thompson and Johnston, and it still is not closing up quickly enough for it to be a battle for the win.
Yeah, but Thompson almost ran a sub 105 that time. He was screaming fast that lap as he is trying to gain as much time as he can. I mean, he's running faster than the leader, but just not fast enough.
He's gained 0.8 in the last 2 laps, but as you can see, he still has a little under 2 seconds to make up. To your point, I think the only way he's going to have a shot to get up here is if Johnston makes a mistake. And really, Johnston had that one mistake on pit road, as you mentioned. There's really been no on-track incidents involving the 28 car at all. And so he has been really good in hitting his marks. And I think he's going to keep himself especially alert here on these final 2 laps, making sure he keeps that car on the racing surface as he's about to receive the 1 to go.
1 to go, and that, I mean, a 1.5 is how much you need to gain Riley Thompson to just get on his bumper, let alone passing him. You got to be seeing a huge mistake, but consistency has been the key for this 28 machine, and that's why he's in the lead of points.
On the goals these 2 drivers have to do, the most likely of the drivers to make a mistake would be the 56 of Riley Thompson, trying to do everything he can do to reel in that 28 car. Right now, Nicholas Johnston just needs to look out the front of his race car and hit his marks, because I don't think Thompson's going to be able to reel him in. He's closed it into a second, but he needed another lap or so in order to be able to make this a fight.
It's crazy how much faster Riley Thompson just ran that last lap, though. It was almost 0.8 faster, so he's just going to be about 0.8 behind if he keeps on running this pace.
He's only got a couple corners left to go here as well. See how hard he attacks turn 10, closes it up to maybe about 3 car lengths. He might get him.
He's coming on the straightaway. He's got one more corner.
Approach 12. Is he going to get there? Not quite. Boy, he gave it a heck of a shot.
He ran a 1:04.4.
I think that's the fastest lap of the race. He ran the fastest lap of the entire race on his last lap. But Nicholas Johnston, time was on his side. There's no doubt about it.
Whew, oh my goodness, that's consistency at a road course allows you to have the chance to be up front, and that's what Nicholas Johnston had, consistency, not having that many mistakes, and that's why he won this race. But that was close. Riley Thompson ran almost a second faster than our leader on that last lap.
It's about 3 seconds separation with 5 to go. Taking the checkers, it was cut down to less than 0.4. That is incredible. But finally, the monkey off the back of Nicholas Johnston, he finally gets that W after 2 second-place finishes this season and continues to grow his points lead. He's been very consistent this year. He just has not been able to get a crooked number in the win column. Succeeds here today at Road Atlanta.
It was a beautiful race to watch. I mean, this racetrack ate up so many cars, but our top 4, they were up front for most of this race, and you can tell that they were the fastest machines, and they were able to tame this beast.
Absolutely. Nicholas Johnston's going to be coming around here to the front straightaway to do his burnouts. And he's basically at this point saying, hey, if you want to take this championship from me, you're going to have to grab it from my hands, because he has really been putting on a clinic as far as good finishes the last couple of weeks. He's going to continue to grow it here today, with a lot of his competitors DNFing from this race, including Welker and Quinn, Adam Wood. It's going to be a good points day, though, for a couple of guys, despite the fact that they're going to lose points to Nicholas Johnston. You got Riley Thompson finishing in second place. Boy, that's a team that really needed a good run here with the struggles they've had. Byron Daly, how about that? Back-to-back podium finishes in his first 2 starts, and as mentioned, Kite Bomber spot there with a 4th place run. And Danny Roberts, that pit strategy, coming to pit road early back on lap 9, put him off sequence. He was able to get a top 5 out of that.
Yeah, we were saying after that first pit cycle for the leaders and what position Roberts was in, we're like, he could get a top 5 here, and that's where he finished.
The rest of the finishing results here with Rodrigo Munoz, the last car on the lead lap. Cohen Evans finished 7th. Hugo Gallas in 8th. Justin Morton 9th. Victor Val was able to bring it home with a top 10 run in his first start. And Will Roberts, saw him kind of out there just picking up spots. He's going to finish in 11th with Welker 12th. Daniel Zegers with a couple of issues today finished 13th. Mike Hurley, Robert Hall, the rest of the top 15. And then all the rest of these guys really just caught up in early incidents in the first 10 laps of this race, and the 2 big ones there. Second in the points, Andrew Wood, and third in the points, Liam Quinn.
As we are waiting for our drivers to get into, and it looks like they are getting ready to be interviewed.
Let's bring in our
I believe our 3rd place is in there. Byron
Is.
Daly.
Yep, Byron Daly. So let's get him in here and interview him with back-to-back podiums in the past 2 weeks.
And I just kept making.
Aaron, it's Sam and Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. You got us?
Yes, I got you guys. Yes.
Easy couple of weeks here for you. The runner-up finished last week at Homestead, and then a third-place run here today at Road Atlanta. But, man, a heck of a battle going on between you and the one car there, and then the 56 enters into that fray. How difficult was it to pass at Road Atlanta today?
It was for me. It was very difficult. I didn't do a great job under brakes, and these guys will take advantage of that. Like I felt like I had all the pace there, and took me a little bit to get going. But once I did, I thought there was a chance to the win there, but I just could not execute today and could not get a pass done. So lost the position because of it. I'm actually pretty disappointed in myself.
Talk about the braking zones. We saw a lot of drivers all the way through the field having issues in this race. And we saw a lot of drivers kind of overdrive the corners, have trouble with the rumble strips. Was there any point that you had issues with like those trouble spots like turn 5 and turn 10?
Yeah, at the beginning of the race, I tried to bend the car like early on the rumble strips. They kind of suck you in here with this car, but there's a couple of them you can hit, and it took me a little bit to figure out what you could and couldn't do, and it was tricky out there for sure.
Yeah, Byron, I mean, you were battling very hard with that one machine the last couple of laps. Did you think that you were ever going to get by him? Because it seemed like you kept on getting stuck at that turn 10.
No, honestly, I felt like everywhere I had a good run on him was not a great passing zone, and I tried a few desperate moves there, and it could have ended in tears. So it was just I never really maximized on where I was faster than him. He was pretty good in the braking zones, and that was basically a straight up braking zone, and I just couldn't outbrake him. I kept failing at it. So eventually I got him on a mistake, but it cost me a position in the process. I just need to do a better job getting in there on the brakes.
Still great performances for your first 2 runs. We were stating in the broadcast that it seems like an IndyCar schedule certainly fits into your wheelhouse. You're good at the speedways and you're good at the road courses with back-to-back podiums. We're going to turn the microphone over to you now and let you do some shout-outs.
Yeah, just thanks to you guys for broadcasting this. It'll be fun to watch later, especially with the battles there at the end. Thanks to, Riley and Kite for racing as hard as they did. I'm sure it was entertaining for all the fans. And, good job to Nick for winning the race. We'll go try again next week.
Absolutely. That is Byron Daly. Brings it home in the 3rd position today at Road Atlanta. Congrats.
Thank you.
And let's bring in our runner-up finisher, Riley Thompson. Riley, it's Sam and Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. Got us? I brought in the wrong person. Let's try that again. I got the right one. Riley, it's Sam and Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. You got us?
Yes, sir.
Well, 4 laps to go, 3 seconds to cut down, and you ran the fastest lap of the entire race on your last lap, less than 4/10 at the line. Was there anything you could have done to have gotten those 4/10, or did you just run out of time?
Not spin in the first place and overshoot turn 1 after. Overall, though, I don't think there was too much I could have done. I played as close as I could on field strategy, and especially having to get through 2 other guys, I think I did the best I could right there.
What is it about this track that was causing so many issues for so many drivers? Because we saw, we kind of pegged turn 10 maybe as the biggest issue, but really looked like turn 5 was the trouble spot for a lot of guys.
Yeah, this car isn't the best ever curves, especially these big ones at Road Atlanta. You get a little bit too much over him. It bounces the car, and you just got to hope you don't get into the wall afterward.
Yeah, Riley, was there ever a chance during this race that you were thinking maybe I'll try to stretch it out to do 1 stop, or was 2 stop always in your mind?
It was way too spread out to be just a 1 stop. I think we had to pit for like 8 laps of fuel, so there wasn't any way you could save that much.
We know that obviously coming into this race, you've been having a lot of hard luck. Does it feel good, even though it's not a win, to just actually leave a weekend with a podium finish?
It was pretty good to be able to actually claw back that much ground. It felt good to be able to show a bit of pace finally, and hopefully going into the rest of the season, I'll be able to show it again.
Absolutely. Well, a second place run for you here today. You certainly made it exciting for us there in the closing stages, seeing you closing up to the back bumper of Johnston. But we're going to now turn the microphone over to you and let's do some shout outs here.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Simza, Craig Setup Shop, new team stuff, everyone that sponsors us, and hopefully there's a lot more to come.
All right, that is Riley Thompson, brings it home in the runner-up position. Looking forward to seeing what you can do next week at Iowa.
Thank you.
And last but not least, let's bring in race winner Nick Johnston. Nick, it's Sam and Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. You got us?
10-4.
Well, finally, after great runs all season long, you finally get that one in the win column here today. But what was going through your mind when you were starting to see the interval get closer and closer between you and the 56 with 2 laps to go?
Well, I knew Riley was really quick. He'd been quick all night, qualifying on the front row and up front there towards the early bit. But I knew with the aero push, and I had pushes to pass saved up from earlier in the race, I really wasn't too worried. I just needed to hit my lines and not make any mistakes there.
And we know that obviously with the latter half of this course, with turns 8 and 9, they give you a good slipstream to be able to make a move, and then you have to try and maybe make a pass down there into 10. But turn 10, A and B, they're such a heavy braking zone. I mean, I saw you several times trying to make passes down there. Was there something that you found there to be able to make it a passing zone, or did most of the time you just had to give up the spot?
Really, it's all about the power down at a 9. If you can get the power down well and get a decent enough run, then you jump on the button and see if you can't get alongside of them. And really, honestly, into that corner, the outside or the inside is fine for passing. It's just it goes to the last of the late breakers, whoever can get the car in deep enough without making a mistake, and then it's just on from there.
Yeah, Nick, we were watching all the pit stops during that first pit stop. When you were coming off, you almost beat out the one machine, but then you got into the grass. Was that a little nerve-wracking for you in that moment?
Oh yeah, I was trying to be a little cheeky and see if I could skip over Kite there on the pit stop, but I came out and he had enough where I felt he had the position, and if we were gonna wreck, it was gonna be my fault. So I lifted, and it was just a little bit too late, and I got the left sides in the grass, and I thought that was it. I thought I was gonna slide up into the wall, but luckily I was able to keep it off the wall and get back into a rhythm and run them down. And it was such a crazy race because this track takes 110% focus. You have to be so focused every lap with all the blind corners and putting your car in just the right spot. And if you had brain lapses like many drivers did tonight, it bites you so quick, and there's really no room for error.
Well, that is definitely true, and we actually documented that during the broadcast as well, the fact that really you couldn't let your brain lapse in any way, shape, or form, or this track was going to get you one way or another, but you didn't let that happen. You bring it home with the win, and we're now going to turn the microphone over and let you do some shout-outs.
Yeah, I'm just glad to finally get a one in the win column and see how the points shake out and keep on going with the season. I just want to thank all the guys over at P2 for all their help and working together tonight. Unfortunately, Zach couldn't make it, and Mitch didn't have the best of nights, but there are a couple drops here in the series, so we'll get back on the horse, and we'll see how the rest of the season goes. Thank you guys for broadcasting. We'll see you all next week.
Absolutely. That's Nick Johnston. He brings it home with the win. He will undoubtedly grow his points lead heading to next week at Iowa. Look forward to maybe talking to you then.
Sure hope so. We'll see you.
And that's going to wrap up our coverage here tonight from Road Atlanta. Sam, your impressions of this track and what we saw here.
I mean, it's almost exactly like Laguna Seca. I mean, you had one corner that was eating up a lot of cars, and you saw the leaders and the cars that were the fastest being up front. Nicholas Johnson staying consistent, and Riley Thompson almost came back with the fastest machine of the night for sure.
Makes you wonder what would have happened if Riley was turning those laps before, but of course he had to deal with some other drivers there when he was back and forth, had to work his way up to second, so that kind of stifled him out. Want to bring up real quickly as well, for those that were wondering, the issue that happened with the 76 of Mitch Welker, he actually got hit with a speeding penalty, and so apparently I guess he felt that he would have lost too much time serving that penalty, and that's why he took his car back behind the wall. So that is what happened to Welker and took him out of this race. But nonetheless, this sets us up for next week. I mean, so far this year, we've been pretty much privy to road courses and pretty high speed speedways. Next week, we're going to be going to Iowa. That's kind of considered a little bit of a short track in its style of racing. So how do you think these Indy cars are going to be there?
I mean, these guys got to really respect one another in spacing and giving space to one another. If you're in a short track like Iowa's going to be, any mistake that you see is going to take out a lot of cars.
Absolutely. Well, a crazy race here and a crazy finish at Road Atlanta. Thank you, everybody that tuned in. Hope you guys enjoyed tonight's broadcast. Sam, as always, thank you for joining me here for tonight's broadcast as well. Great to have you in the booth. And we will see you guys next Thursday night as we will be bringing you, I believe it's entitled The Corn 200, accurately titled The Corn 200 at Iowa.